Yeah, Mataji, we can start in Mataji class.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Mataji, we can see it.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, like always, are there any volunteers who want to recite the invocation prayers? Okay, Mukund, go ahead.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnapristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay. We will try to revise the verses we have, seen so far. And today we will just do recitation. We'll not go into the meanings because, we are trying to learn the verses. So I thought it'll be good, right? If we try to, actually recite them. So we can concentrate on just reciting the verses. So volunteers can raise hands and, recite each verse 3 times, and everybody else, on mute, or you can even unmute yourself and recite, with a Mukund like that, because it's basically like a recitation session today. Okay. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. We'll start with this verse, and I see Mukund has already raised his hand. Mukund, do you want to recite this verse, please?
Yes, Mataji.
Mm-hmm.
Dharmasya hyapavargasya nartharthayopakल्पते नार्थस्य धर्मैकान्तस्य कामो लाभाय हि स्मृतः धर्मस्य ह्यपवर्गस्य नार्थार्थायोपकल्पते नार्थस्य धर्मैकान्तस्य कामो लाभाय हि स्मृतः धर्मस्य ह्यपवर्गस्य नार्थार्थायोपकल्पते नार्थस्य धर्मैकान्तस्य कामो लाभाय हि स्मृतः. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Does anybody want to read the translation for this verse, please? Sudevi, go ahead. Please read the translation.
Yes, Mataji. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, according to sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Okay. Does anybody have questions with this verse or would like to recite it? Anybody? Vindugopka Mataji, you want to recite this verse? Okay, let's move on to the next verse then.
हाँ धोवाना છે. हाँ.
Who wants to recite this verse? It's a simple one. Sudevi, go ahead. Sudevi.
कामस्येन्द्रिया प्रीतिर्लाभो जीवितयावता जीवस्य तत्त्वजिज्ञासा नार्थो यश्चेह कर्मभिः कर्मस्येन्द्रिया प्रीतिर्लाभो जीवितयावता जीवस्य तत्त्वजिज्ञासा नार्थो यश्चेह कर्मभिः कामस्येन्द्रिया लाभो जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्त्वजिज्ञासा नार्थो यश्चेह कर्मभिः. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Let's see, 2 other participants have raised their hands. Who else? Mukund, please recite 3 times.
कामस्येन्द्रियप्रीतिर्लाभो जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्त्वजिज्ञासा नार्थो यश्चेह कर्मभिः कामस्येन्द्रियप्रीतिर्लाभो जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्त्वजिज्ञासा नार्थो यश्चेह कर्मभिः कामस्येन्द्रियप्रीतिर्लाभो जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्त्वजिज्ञासा नार्थो यश्चेह कर्मभिः. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, can you read the translation too, please?
Yes, Mataji. Life's desire should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Okay, let's move on to the next verse. Who wants to recite this verse? Any volunteers?
Hare Krishna Mataji, shall I read Mataji?
Yeah, can you please recite
Vishnupriya
3
Mataji,
times?
why you were not joining all these days? I was missing you.
So sorry Mataji, actually I was in Bangalore for my course Mataji for 1 month. So morning time was my cooking time, so I couldn't join Mataji. So sorry
Oh.
Mataji.
Thank you for letting know the reason, because I was wondering what happened suddenly you stopped it.
Yes Mataji,
Okay,
but
Mataji,
I was
good to have you back.
following the verses Mataji. So they were all the most 2-3 weeks they were morning prayers of Bhagavatam. I mean, right? So I was following the verses Mataji. Hare
Hari
Krishna.
bol jai. Thank you, Mataji. Nice to have you back.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, Mataji, please recite it 3 times. And
Yes.
yeah, we're not doing meanings today. We're just trying to recite the verses today. So all
Sure,
verses
Mataji.
like 3 times.
Sure Mataji.
Thank you.
वदन्ति तत्तत्त्वविदस्तत्त्वं यज्ञानमद्वयं ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवानिति सत्यते वदन्ति तत्तत्त्वविदस्तत्त्वं यज्ञानमद्वयं ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवानिति सत्यते वदन्ति तत्तत्त्वविदस्तत्त्वं यज्ञानमद्वयं ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवानिति सत्यते. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. I don't have the meaning over here. Okay, who wants to recite this verse? Any volunteers? Okay, Mukund, go ahead.
तच्छ्रद्धानमुनयो ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया पश्यन्त्यात्मनि चात्मानं भक्त्या तच्छ्रद्धानमुनयो ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया पश्यन्त्यात्मनि चात्मानं भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया तच्छ्रद्धानमुनयो ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया पश्यन्त्यात्मनि चात्मानं भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anybody else wants to recite this verse? Yes, Sudevi, please go ahead.
श्रद्धानामुनयो ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया पश्यन्त्यात्मनि चात्मानं भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया तच्छ्रद्धानामुनयो ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया पश्यन्त्यात्मनि चात्मानं भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया तच्छ्रद्धानामुनयो ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया पश्यन्त्यात्मनि चात्मानं भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, Tulsi Manjari Mataji, please go ahead, recite the verse 3 times.
Yes, Mataji. तच्छ्रद्धानमुनयो ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया पश्यन्त्यात्मनि चात्मानं भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया तच्छ्रद्धानमुनयो ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया पश्यन्त्यात्मनि चात्मानं bhaktya shruta grihitaya tachtradathanamunayo jnana vairagya yuktaya pashyanti atmani chatmanam bhaktya shruta grihitaya.
Thank you so much. I'll just recite it once. Tachradadhana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya pashyantyatmani chatmanam bhaktya shruta grihitaya. Now we'll move on to the next verse. Who wants to recite this verse? It's okay if it's the same people who are reciting. We have very few of us, so yeah, go ahead, Bokul.
अतः पुंभेर्द्विजश्रेष्ठा वर्णाश्रमविभागस्य स्वनुष्ठितस्य धर्मस्य संसिद्धिर्हरितोषणम् अतः पुंभेर्द्विजश्रेष्ठा वर्णाश्रमविभागस्य स्वनुष्ठितस्य धर्मस्य संसिद्धिर्हरितोषणम् अतः
1 second, Mukul. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, to all the devotees on the call, please try to, if you can, not look at the words, but just listen to his chanting, because that's the way you may be able to memorize better rather than, looking and reading through. So just close your eyes if you can, or, look at a picture of Krishna or like that, and just listen and try to recite with him, because that may help with, learning the recitation of the verse. Yeah, please, sorry to disturb, Mukul. Please go ahead.
अतः पुंभेर्द्विजश्रेष्ठा वर्णाश्रमविभागस्य स्वनुष्ठितस्य धर्मस्य संसिद्धिर्हरितोषणम्. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, you can add like the Visarga, Vibhagashaha, okay, at the end. Very nice chanting. Yeah, let me see. Vinita Mataji, please go ahead.
अत भूम्भिर्द्विजश्रेष्ठ वर्णाश्रम विभागस्य स्वनुष्ठितस्य धर्मस्य संसिद्धिर्हरितोषणम्
अत पुंभेर्द्विजश्रेष्ठ वर्णाश्रम विभागस्य स्वनुष्ठितस्य धर्मस्य संसिद्धिर्हरितोषणम्.
Very nice. You want to recite more times, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Ata pumbhirdvijashreshtha varnashrama vibhagasya swanushthitasya dharmasya samsiddhirharitoshanam. Ata pumbhirdvijashreshtha varnashrama vibhagasya swanushthitasya dharmasya samsiddhirharitoshanam. Ata pumbhirdvijashreshtha varnashrama vibhagasya swanushthitasya dharmasya Samsiddhirharitoshanam. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Okay. Vishnupriya Mataji, do you want to recite it 3 times, please?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Atah pumbhirdvijashreshtha varnashrama vibhagasah swanustisasya dharmasya samsiddhirharitoshanam. Atah pumbhirdvijashreshtha varnashrama vibhagasah swanustitasya dharmasya samsiddhirharitoshanam. Atah pumbhirdvijashreshtha varnashrama vibhagasah swanustitasya dharmasya samsiddhirharitoshanam.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Okay, next verse. I will go, like devotees had raised hands. Sudevi, please recite this verse 3 times.
तस्मादेकेन मनसा भगवान् सततं पतिः श्रोतव्यकीर्तितव्यश्च देयः पूजश्च नित्यदा तस्मादेकेन मनसा भगवान् सात्वतां पतिः श्रोतव्यकीर्तितव्यश्च देयः पूजश्च नित्यदा तस्मादेकेन मनसा भगवान् सात्वतां पतिः श्रोतव्यकीर्तितव्यश्च देयः पूजश्च नित्यदा. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Anybody else wants to recite this verse 3 times? Vishnupriya Mataji, please go ahead. Or Jyoti Mataji, please go ahead.
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah, sorry. Both of you can recite. I was not sure if you raised your hand from the previous time, or please go ahead,
Sure,
Mataji.
sure. Okay. तस्मादेकेन मनसा भगवान् शाश्वतां पति श्रोतव्यकीर्तितव्यश्च ध्येयः पूज्यश्च नित्यदा तस्मादेकेन मनसा भगवान् शाश्वतां पति श्रोतव्यकीर्तितव्यश्च ध्येयः पूज्यश्च नित्यदा तस्मादेकेन मनसा भगवान् शाश्वतां पति श्रोतव्यकीर्तितव्यश्च ध्येयः पूज्यश्च नित्यदा हरे कृष्ण
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Jyoti Mataji, can you please recite this verse 3 times?
Mataji. Yet anudhyasina yukta karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya ona kuryat katharatim. Yet anudhyasina yukta karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya ona kuryat katharatim. Yet anudhyasina yukta karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat katharatim. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay. Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, you want to recite?
Yeah, Mataji. Yed anudyasina yukta karma granti nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat kataratim. Yed anudyasina yukta karma granti nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat kataratim. Yad anudyasina yukta karma granti nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat kataratim. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Beautiful chanting. A lot of devotees raised hands. Vishnupriya Mataji, please go ahead.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी यद् अनुद्यासिना युक्ता कर्म ग्रन्थि निबन्धनं छिन्दन्ति कोविदस्तस्या को न कुर्यात् कतारतिम् यद् अनुद्यासिना युक्ता कर्म ग्रन्थि निबन्धनं छिन्दन्ति कोविदस्तस्या को न कुर्यात् कतारतिम् यद् अनुद्यासिना युक्ता कर्म ग्रन्थि निबन्धनं छिन्दन्ति कोविदस्तस्या को न कुर्यात् कतारतिम्. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Sudevi, do you want to recite?
Yes, Mataji. Yadanudhyasina yukta karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat katharatim. Yadanudhyasina yukta karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat katharatim. Yadanudhyasina yukta karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat kataritim. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Sudevi. We'll move on to the next verse, and I will call out the names of participants. Mukund, can you please recite this verse? Mukund, are you there? Mukund? Okay, let's move on. Vrinda Gopika Mataji, can you please recite this verse?
Yes, Mataji, koti dandat pranam. Thank you, Mataji. Shushurso Shraddha Dhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Syanam Mahatsa Matsa Sevaya Vipraha Punyatirtha Nisevanat Shushursoha Saddhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Syanam Hatsa Sevaya Vipraha Punyatirtha Nisevanat Shushursoha Shraddhanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchi Shanam Hatsevaya Vipraha Punya Tirtha Nisevana. Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Dandavat Pranam to Mataji. Okay. Yeah, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please go ahead, chant. Are you there, Mataji?
Mataji, can you just once recite, then I will recite after you. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
once complete verse, and then I will catch up.
Yeah, sure. Shushrusho Shraddadhanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchihi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipraha Punyatirtha Nishevanat.
Shushushu Sattadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Shan Mahat Seva Vipra Punyatirtha Nisevanat. Shushush Sattadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Shan Mahat Seva Vipra Punyatirtha Nisevanat. शुश्रुषद्ददानस्य वासुदेव कथारुचि शान्महात् सेवया विप्र पुण्यतीर्थ निसेवनात्.
Thank you, Mataji. We have more participants. Vishnupriya Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Susrusho Saddadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Shanmahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. Susrusho Saddadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Shanmahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. Susrusho Saddadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Shanmahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Jyoti Mataji, we can recite next verse. I was thinking. From here, please keep track of the verses, because these verses are kind of connected to today's verses. Okay. Yeah, Jyoti Mataji, please go ahead and recite this verse.
Shrunvatam swakatha Krishna Punyashravana Kirtanaha Hridyantasto Hyabhadrani Vidhunoti Supritsatam. Shrunvatam swakatha Krishna Punyashravana Kirtanaha Hridyantasto Hyabhadrani Vidhunoti Supritsatam. Shrunvatam swakatha Krishna Punyashravana Kirtanaha Hridyantasto Hyabhadrani Vidhunoti Suvritsatam. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Mukund, please recite it 3 times. Mukund, are you there?
Yes, Mataji. Shrunvatam Sukha Krishna Punya Shramana Kirtana Hridyantasta Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhritsatam. Shrunvatam Sukha Krishna Punya Shramana Kirtana Hridyantasta Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhritsatam. Shrunvatam Sukha Krishna Punya Shramana Kirtana Hridyantasta Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhritsatam. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, appears you were in a rush now. Very nice recitation, though. How about I saw someone. Sudevi, do you want to recite it?
Yes, Mataji. Shinvatam Sukata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridantosto Hi Bhadrani Vidunoti Shanvatam Sukata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridantosto Hi Bhadrani Vidunoti Shanvatam Sukata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridantosto Hi Bhadrani Vidunoti Sarasatam. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Okay, this verse and then the next verse. Again, it talks about, okay. Oh, okay, we are here. Oh, what happened to the Nashtapraya verse? Oh. Sorry, I missed a slide here. You know, there is another verse, the Nashtaprayeshu verse, which comes after 17, you know, and I skipped to the 19. Let me just grab that. We need that also for reference. I'll just quickly grab that one.
Can I recite that, Mataji?
Yeah, please go ahead, recite, Mataji.
Yeah. अष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी.
Thank you, Mataji. Jyoti Mataji, can you please recite 3 times?
अष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. So, Devi, I will give you a turn, okay, to recite after me, okay? The next verse. So, this is the verse we are looking at today. So, if we, you know, I told you we have to pay special attention to the 2 verses prior to this, like Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishnaha Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayantastho Hyabhadrani Vidunoti Suhritsatam. So this verse also, you know, it says Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishnaha. So when we do the Shravanam of Krishna Katha, Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, we sing the glories. Hridayantastho Abhadrani. So all the Abhadrani or the inauspicious things, you know, they are removed. Vidhunoti. Vidhunoti means cleansed, you know, like dhona, like that they say. So Vidhunoti Suhrit Satam. So this is what, you know, this is a cleansing process which is recommended by Bhagavatam. That is by constant, you know, hearing of Krishna Katha. And then glorifying, doing Kirtana of Krishna. What happens? The inauspiciousness is removed, all the Abhadra. Or, you know, like we have the different stages, right, of devotional, you know, how we advance in devotional, in our devotional services. So we start with, you know, Adhav Shraddha. It goes on like that. There are 9 stages there, you know. So Adhav Shraddha, Tatha Bhajana Kriya, Sadhu Sangha, Anartha Nivriti, then Nishtha. So this process is, if you see the earlier verses to this, Shushrusho Shraddadhanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchihi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipraha. So this is the, you know, the seva which we do, you know, to our gurus, you know. So by doing that, what happens? We develop this taste for hearing. And slowly what happens? We come to that stage of Nishtha, you know, all this Anartha Nivriti, sorry. We come to the stage of Anartha Nivriti. So these 2 verses, they're talking about like the Anartha Nivriti, you know, like Vidhunoti, all the Hridyantastho hi Abhadrani, Vidhunoti Suhrit Satam. So all the Abhadra is removed. And then the next verse also is on the same vein. It talks about Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu, again Abhadreshu. So all that Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So Bhagavata here refers to not only the book Bhagavatam, but also the person, like we discussed last time. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke, Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So then slowly by doing this cleansing process from Anartha Nivriti, what happens? We move on to the stage of Nishtha. Then Ruchi, Asakti, all this Bhava, Prema, all those stages come, right? So by doing this constant process, we can come to this Nishtha stage. And then today's verse, if we see, what does it say? Let me discuss just a few points about it. Then what happens, it is discussed that once a person comes to the stage of nishtha, he reaches the stage of nishtha, then what happens? He is Stitam Sattve Prasidati. So he's gotten rid of all this kama, lobha, rajas, tamo, bhava. All these have been, he has cleansed himself of all these tendencies. And where is he? Stitam means situated. Sattve Prasidati. So he is in a Brahmabhuta Prasannatma stage, like in a self kind of transcendentally situated, when he has gone over this anartha nivriti and come to this stage of nishtha or firm, determined faith, like Prabhupada defines naishtiki in this verse as irrevocable. That means he cannot go back at this stage. That's why Prabhupada is using such a strong word, though nishtha means like determined or, with great determination or, you can say steadfastness like that. But Prabhupada uses the word irrevocable to translate this. If we see the translation, why he's telling us that once a person reaches like this stage, it's in one sense irrevocable that he will fall down from there because he's cleansed himself of, all those things. And then he reaches this self-realized sattva. He is, situated totally in goodness. So that's what this verse is talking about. Let's just recite this verse. So Devi, you are the volunteer, okay? I'll say word by word and can you please repeat after me, dear?
Sure,
Tada
Mataji.
rajastamo bhavaha.
Rajastamo bhavaha.
Tada
Tada
rajastamo bhavaha.
Rajastamo bhavaha.
Tada
Tada
rajastamo bhavaha.
Rajastamo bhavaha.
Kamalobhadayash.
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 Chaye.
Chaye.
Kamalobhadayash.
Kamalobhadayash.
Chaye.
Chaye.
Cheta etair.
Cheta eter.
Cheta etair.
Cheta eter.
Anavidham.
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 Cheta etair.
Cheta eter.
Anavidham.
Anavidham.
Sthitam.
Sthitam.
Sattve.
Sattve.
Prasidati.
Prasidati.
Sthitam.
Sthitam.
Sattve.
Sattve.
Prasidati.
Prasidati.
Okay, now I'll go line by line. So Devi, please repeat after me. Okay, sweetie. Tada rajastamo bhavaha.
Tada rajastamo bhavaha.
Kamalobhadayaschaye.
Kamalobhadayaschaye.
Cheta eteranavidham.
Cheta eteranavidham.
Sthitam sattve prasidati.
Sthitam sattve prasidati.
Tada rajastamo bhavaha.
Tada rajastamo bhavaha.
Kamalobhadayaschaye.
Kamalobhadayaschaye.
Cheta eteranavidham.
Cheta eteranavidham.
Sthitam sattve prasidati.
Sthitam sattve prasidati.
Tada rajastamo bhavaha.
Tada rajastamo bhavaha.
Kamalobhadayaschaye.
Kamalobhadayaschaye.
Cheta eteranavidham.
Cheta eteranavidham.
Sthitam sattve prasidati.
Sthitam sattve prasidati.
Thank you, Sudevi. Beautiful. Now we will have the quiz on this verse as always. Anybody knows what is Rajastamo?
Passion
You
and
don't have,
ignorance.
Yeah, go ahead and answer.
Passion and ignorance.
Awesome. Bhavaha, what does it mean? Okay, we'll move on to the next word. Kama lobha, what does that mean? Anybody?
Lust and hankering.
Yeah, lust and greed, right? Lobha, greed. Very nice. Cheta means what?
Our mind, Mataji.
Yeah, Cheta, it also refers to consciousness, but in this context, it's the mind. Thank you, Mataji. Cheta eter anavidham. Can anybody guess? Like, does anavidham sound like, something like ana, the prefix anavidham? Does it sound like something is being removed or something to you? Does it give you that kind of an idea when you look at that word?
Yes, Mataji, the opposite. Ana.
Yeah, anavidham is, it sounds like something is being removed, right? Like how we have like in English also we have certain words, right? Like certain prefixes.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Vidhi means the rules, and Anavidha means the opposite. Like we are not following the rules. Is that something like that?
Yeah, we will see that that may not be very close to how it is being mentioned here, Mataji. Cheta eter anavidham. We'll go to the word. I'm just trying to see if you're getting some kind of an idea. Like anavidham is something is there, but it is not there now. That ana root word, like that. So I was just asking if it kind of, that word, when you see it, gives you that kind of a ring, when you see it. So thank you, Mataji, Jyoti Mataji, for that input. Sthitam, we all know, right? Sthitam means what?
Situated.
Yeah. Swanushthitasya, all those sthita. Okay. Satve.
Goodness.
Awesome. Goodness. Prasidati.
Satisfied, Mataji.
Yeah. Like you're right, man. Blissful, happy, satisfied, all that, prasanna. It's like the same one. So kind of we are getting an idea, right? Tada rajas tamo bhava kama lobha dayashe cheta eter anavidham. Anavidham. So what happens? Cheta eter anavidham. So kind of, it gives a meaning like it's cleansed. Sthitam satve prasidati, right? Because you get rid of these kind of tendencies. And in, cheta, like Mataji mentioned, mind, anavidham, that is, it's cleansed. And then sthitam satve, then what happens? We are actually situated in the mode of goodness, which gives happiness, right? Yeah, because mode of passion means it's associated with what? Like anger, like all those passionate tendencies, lust, anger, greed, and all those things, right? And sattva is associated with blissful, calm, peaceful, satisfied, happy within those kind of tendencies. And then tamo is associated with delusion, madness, like self-harm, like all the negative kind of things tamo is associated with, right? A person in tamo, he or she is lazy, so laziness is I was reading some article. Laziness is one big thing which gives rise to depression and things like that. So generally when people are depressed, they ask them to stay very active, like, just get them to do something or the other, to, because it's like, it feeds on itself. Like a lazy person may not want to do things, but if they don't do, then they sit around like that, and that keeps increasing all the more. So it's very important to keep active, like, but not like active like in a passion mode of passion, but active in mode of goodness, like Krishna consciousness. Yeah, very nice. Our devotees gave beautiful meanings. We will go on to see how Prabhupada has given the meanings in this context. Tada, at that time. So this, like I said, it is referring to the previous verses. So this anartha nivritti, you see, abhadrani has been vidhunoti. Vidhunoti means cleansed, in the suhrit satam. So, and here also, nashta prayeshva abhadreshu. So this abhadra is actually destroyed or nashta. And then what happens? The devotee bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. He's in the stage of nishtha. And then this verse starts with tada. So at that point of time, when the devotee reaches this stage of nishtha, what happens? Rajas, tamo, bhava, kama, lobha, desh, these are all gone. So we'll read the word by word. Tadha, at that time. So that time is referring to the previous verse, which says that naishtiki, that person is devotee situated in the stage of nishtha. At that time, Raja, in the mode of passion, Tama, the mode of ignorance, Bhava, the situation, Kama, lust and desire, Lobha, hankering. Somebody gave the word hankering, right? Very nice. Adaya, others. Like Adi, we say Adi, right? Janma, Adyasya. Janma, Adi, like that. Adayaha, others. Cha, and ye, whatever they are. Chetaha, the mind. Etai, by this. By these, anavidham, without being affected. So that's what it means. Anavidham means without being something. It's like there is something, but it's not there, right? So that anavidham is like a prefix. So vidham here, Prabhupada has translated as anavidham, without being affected. Sthitam, being fixed. Satve, in the mode of goodness. Prasidati, thus becomes fully satisfied. I think another Mataji also had said, satisfied. Very nice. Like all devotees know very beautifully the meanings. So main words which we were not very sure of, right? Tada is at that time, which is referring to the stage of nishtha, which was referred to in the previous verse. And then bhava in this verse has been translated as the situation. Kama, lobha, adayaha. We kind of have an idea of adi, adayaha. We can associate to remember, right? Cheta, we know mind or consciousness, like that. Etai, by these. Anavidham, this was something we were all not sure of. The anavidham is without being affected. So how do you think we can remember that anavidham translates to without being affected? Anybody has any clues? How you can associate anavidham to without being affected? Okay. Sthitam, being fixed, and Satve, Prasidati, all these were kind of easy, right? So just a couple of words in this verse we need to concentrate. One is anavidham, without being affected. And then tada, at that time. Bhava is the situation. So it's kind of a relatively easy verse, right? It's not too tough, right, to understand?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody want to read the translation?
Shall I read, Mataji?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Translation. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Devotees have raised their hands. So I would please, please go ahead and recite the verse also. Vishnupriya Mataji, Mukund, please recite 3 times the verse, please. Today's verse.
Yes, Mataji. Tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye chetaye tairana vidham sthitam satve prasidati. Tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye chetaye tairana vidham sthitam satve prasidati. Tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye chetaye tairana vidham sthitam satve prasidati. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you. Mukund, do you want to recite 3 times, please? Are you there? Okay. Let's move on. Bhavna Mataji, please go ahead and recite. Oh,
Yes,
Mukund, are
Mataji.
you there?
Yeah,
Bhavna
so
Mataji.
Mukund can speak. तदा राजस्तमभावा कामलोभादयश्च ये चेतयेतेरनाभिधां स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति तदा राजस्तमभावा कामलोभादयश्च ये चेतयेतेरनाभिधां स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति तदा रजस्तमो भावा कामलोभादयश्च ये चेतयेतेरनाभिधां स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Bhavna Mataji, please go ahead.
Yes, Mataji. तदा रजस्तमो भावः कामलोभादयश्च ये चेत एतेरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति तदा रजस्तमो भावः कामलोभादयश्च ये चेत एतेरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति तदा रजस्तमो भावः कामलोभादयश्च ये चेत एतेरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति.
Jai. Thank you, Mataji. Does anybody else? Bharat Prabhuji, please go ahead, recite the verse 3 times.
Thank you, Mataji. तदा रजस्तमो भाव कामलोभादयश्च ये चेत एतेरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति तदा रजस्तमो भाव कामलोभादयश्च ये चेत एतेरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति तदा रजस्तमो भाव कामलोभादयश्च ये चेत एतेरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति. Thank you, Mataji.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yeah, let me see who else. Tulsi Manjari, please go ahead, recite the verse.
तदा रजस्तमो भावा कामलोभादयश्च ये चेतयेतेरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति.
Very nice. Do you want to recite more, 2 more times, Mataji?
Okay, Mataji. Tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayascha ye chetayeter anavidham sthitam sattve prasidati. Tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayascha ye chetayeter anavidham sthitam sattve prasidati.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on this verse? Are there? Jyoti Mataji, did you recite it? This verse, Mataji?
No.
Yeah, please go ahead, recite, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. तदा रजस्तमो भावा कामलोभादयश्च ये चेत एतेरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति तदा रजस्तमो भावा कामलोभादयश्च ये चेत एतेरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति तदा रजस्तमो भावा कामलोभादयश्च ये चेत एतेरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Yeah, so just to give a brief glimpse, even the next verses, like if you, I don't know if you have heard Prabhupada's bhajan composition, Buro Kripa Koile Krishna Adha Mera Yati, that one poem actually, Srila Prabhupada, he wrote it on the Jaladuta when he was on the ship, and there was a lot of pain and suffering, right? Prabhupada health was not all that great. So that time, in a total mood of surrender, Srila Prabhupada had actually written that poem, actually thinking of Lord Krishna, meditating on Lord Krishna. And he says, make me dance as a puppet, make me dance, nachao, nachao. He says like that. So at the end of that poem, he recites this series of verses which actually start from Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. So these are very key verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, and I would actually suggest that we all should memorize these, at least these 6 verses, which come, the Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna Nashta Prayeshu Abhideshu, then Tadara Jastamo Bhava, then Evam Prasanna Manaso, then Bhidyate Hridaya Grantihi. So the next 2 verses also we will see in the coming weeks. So these verses are very, very key, and it gives kind of a glimpse of the whole philosophy. So it's recommended that we memorize these verses, because Srila Prabhupada quoted these verses in that poem, and it will be nice if we can please Srila Prabhupada that way. So the next verse also, like I said, Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana Mukta Sangasya Jayate. So Mukta Sangha, you go to that stage of Jivan Mukta, like that. So then Bhidyate Hridaya Grantihi Chidyante Sarva Samshayah Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Drishta Evatmanishware. So Drishta Evatmanishware, we'll be seeing in the next 2 classes the beautiful verses. I'm just trying to discussing this so that we get more inspired to actually learn all these verses. So the next 2 classes are also very key verses. So please stay tuned, and we should all try to memorize starting from Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna. So Drishta Evatmanishware means you actually become one in quality with the Supreme Lord. At that stage you are like pure in your true position as a Sachidananda. So until that stage, these 6 verses are actually defining those stages, Anartha Nivriti, Nishtha, and then this Ruchi, all these stages up till the stage where you become totally pure, like that, you reach your Sachidananda, true nature, soul nature. So very important key verses. So please do stay tuned. Anybody has any questions or thoughts, and we can wrap up this call. I'll just recite it 3 more times. So yeah, I see 3 participants have raised their hands. Vishnupriya Mataji, you have any question, Mataji?
Sorry, Mataji. No, Mataji. It was raised before, so it was like that only. Sorry, Mataji.
No worries. So Devi, you have a question? So Devi?
Yes, Mataji. In the last verse, it said that the heart, the troublesome, it's what is troublesome to the heart, it's almost completely destroyed. So why does it not cleanse the full heart, Mataji?
Where Sudevi? Which verse are we discussing? In this one?
18th verse.
Oh, 18th verse. Yeah, because we are still at that, Anartha Nivriti stage, right? This verse is discussing Anartha Nivriti, you see. So this is that stage by constant hearing, so slowly, gradually, all this abhadra will be removed, So still there may be some stages, but then you have to constantly hear, and then, and then later in the next verse, we reach this stage of Nishtha, Nashta Prayesh Vabhadrishu. At this stage, it is like we are rid of, all our Anartha Nivriti. Though in practice, the scriptures, acharyas say that this Anartha Nivriti is not totally gone until we reach the stage of prema, Even in the Nishtha, Ruchi, Bhava stage also, Anartha Nivriti can peak its ugly head. I mean, Anarthas can peak their ugly head. So even we have heard, right, Bharat Maharaja, he was at the stage of Bhava, such a high stage, like that, but still he was attracted to the deer, right? Like that. So still some lurking anarthas may be there, in these stages, but at prema stage, you basically get rid of all these anarthas.
Okay, Mataji. I thought once we get, it's like a either fully dirty or fully clean like that. I thought, Mataji, but still there are many stages. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, I wish it were true, right? Like we could just like switch on a bulb or switch off a bulb and remove our anarthas, right? But like even Madhurya Kadambini, when you grow up, you can read, very great works by our acharyas. And that also describes these different stages, of bhakti, and how even within the nishtha, there are different types, like Ghana, Tarala, so beautiful names have been given to each stage, like some wavering, sometimes you're in, sometimes you are very devoted, and sometimes, you're like, you're taking a back seat, like, doing something else. So all these Ghana Tarala stage and different stages are mentioned in more detail in our scriptures by our acharyas. So a lot of detail is there. But for the sake of this class, we are just trying to recite and learn these verses, right? But surely when you grow up, I'm sure you will read and understand more and perhaps teach me, right, Sudevi? Okay. Nitin Narasimha Prabhu, Jai, you're here after all. You have a question, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji. I joined a bit late. I will hear from the YouTube also, Mataji. Mataji, my question is, you said like when Srila Prabhupada was in the journey, he sung these 6 verses. Means these, can we think that these 6 verses are like important slokas?
Yes, Prabhuji. They are very important. That's why Srila Prabhupada, in a mood of utter humility, he actually sang, he composed that poem, Boro Kripa Koile Krishna Adha Mera Banu. That, and at the end of that, these verses are recited, by Srila Prabhupada. And so these are very important. Like, it's like a fervent prayer, like by reading and reciting, like Kirtana of Srimad Bhagavatam, all these abhadras, like all these different inauspicious things disappear, or, are cleansed from our heart. And then we reach that stage of nishtha, and then, we continue cleansing, and then bhava, and then prema, like that. So they are important verses. So that's what I was just telling. I don't know if you were there at that time, Prabhu, that starting from Shrinvatam Svakatha Krishna, from here, these 6 verses we have to memorize, actually. Generally, devotees memorize. And Swarup Damodar Prabhuji, he's a very excellent Kirtaniya. He has sung that Boro Kripa Koile Krishna Bhajan. And he also recites these verses. I mean, that's what helped me to learn the verses, actually. So I will send a link to that bhajan, that Prabhuji. It's a very wonderful Kirtaniya. A lot of nice, bhajans he has sung. So I can send a link, and if you keep listening to his recitation, he sings in a tune also, all this Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridyantastho Hiya Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhritsatam Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye chitete ranavidham sitam satve prasidati evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate vidyate hridaya granthihi Chidyante sarva samshayaः क्षीयन्ते chasya karmani drishta eva atmanishvare. And then the poem, the bhajan again starts, in between these verses are come, and then again the bhajan starts. So it's very nice. I will send the link. If you keep listening, we can memorize that. It really helped me. So I will share that link. I hope that answers your question, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Mataji. And when you said like these slokas are very deep rooted, and it is we can understand when Prabhupada was in like he has no hopes, and so many challenges. So when he sung or when he recited, that means there is a, and when we sing with the rhythm, with a deep understanding, it makes a lot of difference. Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Actually, Mukund has nicely posted the link, to that bhajan by Swarup Damodar Prabhuji. So the link is there if anybody would like to listen. But I will post it again on our WhatsApp group also, because after the call, the link. Yes, Mukund.
In the end of the video, Prabhuji actually says the Srimvatam Sakata and like the other verses.
Yeah. That's what I was telling. Yeah, he has recited these in like, I think it is Kapi Raga, if I'm not wrong, but some Hindustani Raga. So it's very nice. Please listen to, Prabhuji's that rendition of the bhajan. And by listening, we can memorize all these 6 verses easily. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, let me just recite this verse 3 times and we will, oh my God, it's nearing 8:30 already. Sorry to keep you all, my apologies. Shrinvatam swakatha Krishnah punyashravana kirtanah oh my God, what was I'm sorry. Hridyantastohya bhadrani vidhunoti suhritsatam nashtaprayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayasche चेत एतैरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति तदा रजस्तमो भावाः कामलोभादयश्च चेत एतैरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति तदा रजस्तमो भावाः कामलोभादयश्च चेत एतैरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
Thank you, Mataji. Koti koti dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Dandavat pranams to all.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.